John Edmonson joining us this morning from the Marula Medical Center, talking about crappy sleep and stress. You know, and honestly, this time of the year, I think a lot of people have stress as we're getting closer to Christmas, which comes up in a few weeks, Thanksgiving, which is next week. We've all got stresses in our lives. We've all got lives that we're living, and we've all got this burden of stress on us each and every day. John, help me.
I'm here to help, Bob. Tell me what I can do for you.
All right. Well, it kind of hit me. I saw this article that made me give you a buzz, see if we can get you on, talking about crappy sleep, and I think that all of us have these days or these, cycles, if you will, of just having horrible sleep. It's funny. I'll go through a cycle of 3 weeks of great sleep, and then I'll have a week of crappy sleep, and then it's back to the same. Kind of I'm on that cycle, and every morning I wake up at 2:37 for some reason, and my alarm doesn't go off till 4. So I get up at 2:37, look at the clock. I'm like, it's my 2:37 wake-up call. Stand up, lay back down, fall back to sleep for an hour and a half. You know what I mean? It's just the stresses of everyday lives, John.
It's true, and what we're noticing now is reading an article recently that people are more stressed out than they were in past times, and it completely makes sense. We're seeing all these different events in the world. We're looking at surveys that are telling that even the millennials are getting stressed out. They're not sleeping 63 days out of the year. They're having difficulty sleeping. Even people are, Democratic or Republican, are both concerned about the future of the nation. So this is a great topic to talk about because it's happening to a lot of people.
What can we do?
What can you do? So where I work in Marula, we do a lot of the stress reduction. And one of the things, we could talk about two. One is the easy, quick fixes that kind of help you get to sleep, and then the bigger picture ones that make a longer difference over time. The quick fix is really taking a deep breath before you go to sleep. Most of us, we go to bed, we are looking at social media, we're thinking about our problems, our worries, our concerns, and then it's the number one worst thing to do if you want to get a good night's sleep. A way to change it is before you go to bed, take a list of all the things that are worrying you. Write them down on a piece of paper, put them somewhere away from you, out of the room. Take about 2 minutes, take a deep breath in, deep breath out, and then go to sleep. And whenever those problems come up in your mind, say, I'll deal with it tomorrow. Thank you for coming up. And then go back to taking a deep breath. What we've noticed with our patients and with a lot of people is when they start to do that, they actually begin to sleep better. Not perfectly, but much better than before.
Huh. Thank you for coming for a visit. I've never tried that. I did for a long time, John. I had a tape recorder by my bed, and when something came up and I couldn't fall back to sleep, I'd speak into the tape recorder. But I'll tell you what, 2:00 in the morning speech, and then you go back to listen to it in the morning. You're like, what did I say? And then so I thought, okay,
but
I'm gonna try writing it down.
Yeah, but I'm sure it made perfect sense at the time, though.
Oh yeah, at the perfect time. I had the cure for cancer. I had world peace on my mind. I had $1 million idea. But in the morning, it sounded like, or I tried writing things down. And I'll tell you what, my writing, even when I'm awake, is horrible. Well, just a straight line and a squiggle and a smiley face means nothing to me in the morning.
But you're bringing up a great point, and that's it. The mind's job is to think. And what we do is sometimes we forget that. And it's also the mind's job to stress. And it's a great thing. There's two kinds of stresses that we experience. One is the healthy stress, and one's the unhealthy stress. And the healthy stress is the one that, gets us up in the morning, maybe wakes us up in the middle of the night from time to time, makes us pay our taxes, pay our bills, make good choices. The unhealthy stress is the one where it's constant worry and rumination, and that's what a lot of people are experiencing right now, is not just the stress that makes you make new choices or take care of business, but the stress where you're constantly thinking about what's my future going to be like, what's life going to be like, what are the politics going to be. And of course, many times the media, because their job is to get people to listen and watch their programs, which is fantastic, and social media is the same thing, many times reaches out to people with high drama, with intensifying news, and making it worse than it actually is, because they're trying to get ratings, and that's their job. It's no problem at all.
Well,
but we have to realize... Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. It goes back to what I learned when I was in radio schools. If it bleeds, it leads. A plane landing safely doesn't make news, but a plane that goes down in a fiery crash does. So I think that
Right.
I think that we as Americans, or we as consumers of the news product, have kind of forced the people that tell the news to, give us a story that's going to, tantalize us and tickle us with, what I mean, with emotion.
Exactly, and that's nature. Like, we are, as a species, we are drawn towards negativity. We're drawn towards that excitement because that's how we survive. We always want to know what the bad things are going on in the world so we can protect ourselves. It's how we survived as a species. If we didn't have that in our nature, we never would have made it that far. But the key is to know that we're in control of our minds now. We have choices. And so, sure, we're going to see things that are exciting on the media, and sure, we're going to see things going on. We're going to be drawn to it, of course. But when we make a choice to take a break from time to time, to know that that's just the nature of me looking at drama, the world is actually a wonderful place sometimes. But we have to also have bad things happen as well. That's just part of the world. Then we tend to sleep better at night. So those long-term fixes is really not just taking a breath in that, which is great, or writing those things out. Those are all wonderful. But it's making decisions on who we want to be, what we want our future to look like, and how we want to live.
So,
and the people that I've seen... Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. But a lot of times, the stuff that I've worried about in the past, the things that have been like kept me up or worried me or made me sick to my stomach, really usually never even happen.
Yeah, it's so much the case, and we get caught up in that. It's the brain's job to worry. It's to help us protect from things. But when we start to focus on, well, what is it I really want out of my day tomorrow? And they call it positive psychology. So instead of focusing on what you don't want, thinking that if you think about your problems long enough, they'll go away, it's actually the opposite. But you're going to think about what you do want. How do you want your day to go? How do you want your week to go, your life? And you begin to focus on that, then things shift. They even did studies, people who wake up in the morning and make a list of things they're grateful for, even if they're kind of faking it till they make it, something different every day, 3 things, that over time, those people tend to experience a higher life satisfaction than those who are, waking up and just trying to problem solve or think about the things that they have to deal with that day.
That's interesting. It's funny because every day on my way into work, I always tell myself, just make it the best show that you can do. Not the best show in the world, just the best show that you can do. And I tell myself that every day. Every interview, kind of the same thing. What's the best, ask the best questions that you can come up with. And I try to...
And that's what...
Go ahead.
I love what you said, because that's what makes life so exciting, because you nailed it. That's exactly what we recommend to every client, every patient, is it's the technical term would be like internal locus of control, but the deeper way to say it is just relying within yourself. Did I do my best today? What is my best in every situation? And when people do that, there's a higher level of satisfaction. If we judge our life by what happens to us as opposed to how we respond to what we do, then we're obviously going to have more anxiety. And we talk about our wonderful millennials that are coming up. Many times, so many things were controlled for them and taken care of for them that they really focused on the award they got or how well they were doing or the grade they got, as opposed to how they were performing and actually doing these things. And so that creates higher levels of anxiety because now they're worried about what's happening around them as opposed to how they can manage those things. But if you flip it, that's when great things start to happen in your life.
Oh, come on. Doesn't everybody need a ribbon, John?
Hey, I like a good ribbon from time to time. It's fantastic. But it means nothing if we don't really earn it. I mean, we've all probably experienced that before. Like, even if we win or don't win, if we really gave it our best, then we feel a little bit better. Sometimes we win and we know we didn't do our best, we still don't feel good about it.
Right.
Getting something we haven't earned or worked for, in the end, doesn't feel quite as good. And always celebrating things that happen around us is what making us happy. It's great. I mean, who doesn't want to do that? We can't rely on that.
You're absolutely right. I kind of want to share a story now because my oldest son, 22 years old, I've made my kids pay for their cell phones ever since they've had cell phones. I paid for the phone, the $10 a month for the phone. If they want internet on it or texting or any of that other stuff, they paid for it. And that's been the deal since day one. And my son, when he's little, he's pissed. He's like, Dad, all my friends, and now as an adult, he says, you know what, I'm glad that you made me do that to realize that, things don't get handed to you, that you actually have to work for the things that you want. So kind of going off your ribbon generation thing, and, with kids talking about, or thinking that all, this stuff's going to be handed to them. There are people out there that make their kids work for stuff still.
It's a good point, and it's very, very common. In another life, I was many years ago a high school teacher and school counselor, and you can see exactly what you're talking about in the trajectory of those kids' lives. And many times when the parents are coming in, we all need support, we all need help, but many times the parents will come in and want to fix the problems and advocate for kids' grades to go higher for no reason, or always try to fix things that are going on instead of allowing that child to do it. You could watch them over time, how they manage their problems. And the ones where people will always fix it, they seem to be higher stress because they didn't have a sense that they could control anything. Where the ones who were always kind of having to deal with their problems on their own with support seem to have less stress and perform better. And my bet, and actually I can tell you from just having patients come in, those are the people that usually sleep better at night. It's when we think we can't control anything, we can't sleep because all we think we can do is worry and hope for the best instead of actually doing things that could lead to something that would help us.
What about failure? Because I kind of what you said. I'm just going to ask this as a question, since you said you have experience in high school and being a counselor and a high school teacher. I think that a lot of parents are afraid to let their kids fail at things. But honestly, John, I think that if you fail, that teaches you to be successful because you can see where your problems were, started and things that you can do to fix those, and end up being a problem solver rather than a problem maker. Sure, and I'd much rather have people fail a whole lot, especially when you're gonna fail. Absolutely, and that's and that's just part of the gig and the plan of life. And again, talking about sleep, accepting that makes you sleep better because you're gonna fail. Go ahead, accept it, get some rest. Right. And with kids, it's great as long as they have support and not left on their own completely. Yeah, fail. It's fantastic because then you learn. Especially like if we're early in our 20s, if we're failing at work or failing in business, we feel discouraged. No, not at all. It's a great time to fail. The stakes are much lower, and that's when you want to do it. And we're older, that's okay too, because you can always dust yourself off as long as you're learning and you take responsibility for it. Failure's a great thing. I'm actually kind of disappointed sometimes when people come in there, they haven't had enough problems, and that sounds funny. But they come in and say, my life is great, but I don't know why I'm not happy. Well, and it's an interesting thing. It's because there's no challenge. There's no engagement. Well, you know what it is? You're looking for job security being a shrink. Well, with all the stress going on, I don't think I'll ever go out of business, that's for sure. I'm just teasing about that anyway. So what are a couple of things that people can do to help themselves have a good night's sleep, John? Yeah, one of them is, some of it's practical. We talk about diet. So, the simple ones are easy on the caffeine after 5 o'clock. Make sure you're not having a large meal. Those are the basics. Turn off social media before you go to bed. And the reason is, if you're looking at your phone right before you go to sleep, that light going into your eyes is actually telling your brain that it's daytime. Oh. And so your brain will actually become more and more awake and release chemicals that keep you awake while you're looking at your phone. So if you put that down, then you're more likely to fall asleep. Another one is creating those nighttime rituals. So some kind of pattern or habit that begins to tell your brain that it's time for bed, whether it's as simple as brushing your teeth or having that journal or different things like that to help you sleep. If you're in a relationship, it's always recommended that you make some kind of connection to that person before you go to bed. Even if you're in an argument, or which is just going to happen if you're in a relationship, or you're frustrated with that person, some kind of act of kindness or connection, ever so small, will improve your sleep. It releases oxytocin in your system whenever you hug somebody or if you hold hands with them. It's a great way to help you rest. If you're a single person, we recommend, and this sounds funny, but put your hand on your heart for about 2 or 3 minutes before you go to bed. Your brain registers that as social touch. Whenever we have social touch, oxytocin, which is a very calming hormone, gets released into our system, helps us center and calm and get a better night's rest. Huh. I hadn't heard that last one, but I guess I've been married 27 years. So, But earlier when you mentioned hold your breath or take a deep breath in, I was thinking you're going to say hold it until you pass out.
You can try that. I recommend that.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that one either. That's where, honestly, that's where I thought you're going. I'm like, oh, great. This is going to be one of those interviews. But no, but it wasn't. It was a good interview. I appreciate your expertise this morning. How do we find out more about the stuff that we've been talking about, John?
Well, we have a lot of blogs going, especially about stress and tips to manage them. If you come to our website, it's Marula, M-A-R-U-L-A, medical.com, and you click on the mindfulness link, you'll see a great video on stress and how it affects your body. If you click on our blogs, you'll get tons of recommendations like the one I'm giving you on how to sleep better and find more peace.
Excellent. Hey, I appreciate it. Have a good Thanksgiving.
All right, you too.
Thanks, man. I appreciate your time and expertise this morning.